Good morning and welcome to another episode of Bold Business, the show about millennial economic empowerment. I'm your host, David Grasso, and I'm from the nonprofit Gen FKD, which sponsors this show and helps young people get the skills they need to succeed. I'm joined by one of my regular co-anchors, Selena Hill. How you doing this morning, Selena?
Good, thank you.
She's the digital editor at Black Enterprise, and she's here to keep me company and get the show going. We're going to get started with our headline segment. Selena and I will go over the business stories that have us talking. Here we go. Our first headline is from the New York Times and is about Uber and whether it's helping or hurting mass transit. The article points to a new study by UC Davis that found that ride-hailing apps like Uber and Lyft are drawing people away from public transit. This means that ride-sharing is making traffic worse across the country. Here in New York City, declining subway ridership has been blamed on Uber and similar services. Of course, ride-sharing has helped fill critical gaps in the reach of public transit, but the results of the study mean that a large amount of ride-sharing isn't complementing public transit. In fact, it's making traffic worse. Selena, do you take Uber instead of the subway?
Well, here's the thing. I can't always afford Uber as opposed to the subway, but I find it extremely convenient. And I do think that Uber is the way of the world. Like, I read the New York Times article. I see the studies. Regardless of the criticism, Uber is the future. We can't get rid of it. And even though some critics may argue that it causes congestion and it hurts pollution, I think that because of its convenience, because it's app-oriented, it's only going to increase.
Yeah, well, I definitely think it's causing traffic, and I definitely do take Uber instead of the train. And I think that it's not really reflecting the right price in the city because we're seeing a lot of congestion because of people like me who pay $3 for an Uber instead of taking the subway. So that's something that we definitely need to watch in the news and definitely becoming a traffic problem across the world. So stay tuned for that.
Absolutely.
Our next headline is from Inverse.com and is about Tesla's power packs arriving in Puerto Rico. In case you missed it, Tesla was invited by the governor of the island, Ricardo Rosselló, to help restore power over Twitter. Puerto Rico was ravaged by Hurricane Maria last month, and most people remain in the dark. Now Tesla power packs have arrived on the island and will be used to restore power for necessities such as medical equipment. The governor of Puerto Rico has said that Tesla's work restoring the grid with battery and solar technology could serve as a flagship project for the company. So Selena, do you think Tesla can pull this off?
Absolutely. First of all, there are a number of smaller islands in the Caribbean, even in Hawaii, that use solar power as opposed to traditional electricity. So I am 100% confident that Elon Musk can pull this off. And I want to say kudos to Elon Musk because he's doing much more than our president is doing. If you look at Donald Trump, he's actually threatened to remove federal aid from Puerto Rico. So I think that by private companies, Elon Musk and other different millionaires and billionaires investing in Puerto Rico, that's the best thing that we can do for these Americans.
Well, I don't know about all that political stuff because we don't talk about politics on the show, but definitely I have a lot of faith in Elon Musk, and I feel like a lot of people across the world do as well.
Absolutely.
Our last headline is from blackenterprise.com. Selena's employer, and it's titled The $2 Charge That Dropped My Credit Score 169 Points. As it turns out, the author had a $2 late fee on a credit card he hadn't used in 3 years. That's because the card was charged a $10 payment for an insurance policy that the author had also forgotten he had purchased. The moral of the story, watch your accounts closely and log into unused accounts to make sure your balance is at zero. Use credit monitoring services to see when your credit is being dinged. And remember, being late damages your credit no matter how little you owe. So Selena, you watch all your accounts?
Absolutely. And after we read this article, after I got this article, I made sure that I stayed on top of my credit score. First of all, the article is great. Definitely check it out at blackenterprise.com because it really talks about something really small and minuscule, how it can really mess up your credit score. Like because the thing is the banks, it doesn't matter if you're late on a payment by $2,000 or $2. What the banks care about is if you're late. So make sure that you are on time. We're paying everything.
168 points, and that means you're going to pay more for interest.
Right.
You're going to have trouble getting a mortgage. You're going to have trouble getting everything. Of course, they'll give you a student loan if you have a pulse, but that's another topic that we'll save for another day, Selena.
Absolutely.
So that's important. Remember, check all your accounts and make sure your payments are on time.
Absolutely.
So anyway, speeding through to our next regular segment on Bold TV, we call that Ben Franklin Circles. Ben Franklin Circles is a nationwide initiative led by the 92nd Street Y, the Hoover Institution, and Citizen University. A Ben Franklin Circle is based on Ben Franklin's own Mutual Improvement Club, in which Franklin and his peers discussed what it means to be a good person and live a good life through the lens of 13 virtues. I don't know if I can remember all of them, so let's try. At each Ben Franklin Circle, members focus on one virtue and discuss how it applies to their lives. This morning, we're focusing on the virtue of frugality. On the topic of frugality, Ben Franklin said, make no expense, but to do good to others or yourself, i.e. waste nothing. Joining us for this segment is a regular guest. She's also known as the Cashlorette. Her name is Sarah Berger. How you doing, Sarah?
Good. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So, Sarah, I hear you recently came off a no-spend week. So that definitely relates to this virtue of frugality. How did you do it?
So, yes, I did not spend any money from Sunday to Sunday for an upcoming article that I'm working on, and it was incredibly enlightening. It really made me reevaluate how I spend money on a day-to-day basis and how much I'm spending on things that I don't think make a big difference in my budget, but actually do. The key to a no-spend week is definitely preparing in advance. I had to do all my grocery shopping, get my MTA card all loaded up, and I had to do some research. I wanted to be able to socialize and have fun and not miss out on anything that New York has to offer. And I survived, so that's good. And I also had fun, so it was definitely enlightening. Definitely recommended to anyone who maybe has kind of fallen out of line with their budget or really needs to reevaluate their spending habits and take a step back, or maybe even just save a bit more money for the upcoming holiday shopping season.
So, Sarah, do you think that planning is key when it comes to saving money and really capitalizing on the income that you have?
Absolutely. I think that planning is super key. You can find ways to be frugal in your life. Find coupons, promo codes, plugins. Be strategic about the credit card that you use so you can really maximize your money that way. I also think it comes down to kind of reevaluating your motivation behind making that purchase. Ask yourself, do I need this right now at this price? If you can hold off or save money in a different way, hold off. I think that a lot of people maybe aren't as frugal as they could be out of laziness. They're not making their lunch at home. They're going to Starbucks every morning. They're being kind of lazy with their spending, and that can be make a big difference in your budget.
I think that almost being mindless, based on your research, what behavior is more typical and common for millennials? Because it doesn't seem like us as a generation, we do all of that advanced research and planning, but it's almost like we spend very mindlessly.
I think that technology is kind of a double-edged sword. You definitely have the resources at your fingertips to find promo codes and plugins and get cash back and do everything you can to maximize your money, but it's also so convenient to order an Uber, order Seamless, get anything you want delivered at your doorstep, but you're going to pay more for that. So I think that technology it's hurting our generation in that sense, but it's also kind of helping it. So it's definitely a double-edged sword.
So we have a Facebook comment, no spend week sounds literally impossible. So back in the day, Ben Franklin wrote a book about wealth, and it's still relevant today. Of course, that's the whole point of this segment. But you talk about frugality, and you talk about how technology makes frugality very difficult. How can you leverage technology to be frugal?
Right. So I definitely think that there's an app I love, Retail Me Not.
I love that one.
I know that too.
Retail Me Not.
Coupons, right?
Yes. It finds your location and shows you how to save money, what deals are going on based on where you are, right there. Love that. It makes it super easy to clip coupons. Honey is a great plugin when you're online shopping.
I got it.
Honey.
Very proud. Very proud. So I think that there are definitely apps and tools out there that millennials can really utilize to save as much money as possible. And I think that that's probably the best way to harness technology in trying to be frugal.
Absolutely. So when did you make that decision that you were going to try this social experiment and
She's
not...
the Cashlorette. She's practicing what she preaches, right?
Yeah, true.
How far in advance did you have to plan for that? Were you like, okay, next year at this time? Or were you like, you know what, next week I'm going to just try not to spend?
I started thinking about it a couple weeks before, thinking it'd be a good article. I write about all day how to maximize your money, so why don't we try it and see how it goes. Definitely had to look up things to do on the weekend before, looked at the weather. Luckily in New York, there's tons of free stuff you can do. The Met is free. You can go hiking for free in the Bronx. And
the Met is free?
Suggested admission prices.
So your suggested was $0? How did you tell him that?
It was very awkward, but I'm like, I've been here so many times. I've always, paid like $10 to get in, and I live in New York. I pay the taxes. I'm gonna come and enjoy the art. And
Why not?
Yeah,
Take advantage.
absolutely.
You live here.
Yeah.
We already pay for it.
Anyway, so before we let you go, Sarah, any simple advice to stay frugal and follow Ben Franklin's advice?
Reevaluate your spending, what the motivation is behind it. And I think that whether you're making six figures or you're on an entry-level salary, like frugality is super important because you don't want your happiness hinged on something like spending tons of money every weekend. You need to really find happiness and learn how to be happy with less.
Cool. Sarah Berger, the Cashlorette. We'll see you soon.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much. Thanks for this great conversation. Ben Franklin circles are easy to start, and anyone can run one. We'd like to challenge you at home. Be bold and start your own Ben Franklin circle. Get a group of 10 people and pick one of the virtues to discuss. Let us know what you talked about, and send us photos on Bold's Facebook page. We'd love to hear from you so we can include you on a future episode. Get all the info you need to start one at benfranklincircles.org or email benfranklincircles@gmail.com to sign up. Let them know you saw the segment on Bold TV. So switching gears a bit, we're going to talk about Only the Brave, a movie based on the Granite Mountain Hotshots, a group of elite firefighters from Arizona who risked everything to protect a town from a historic wildfire in 2013. Take a look at this video.
Sooner or later, fire's gonna come knocking at our hometown. But until we're certified, my crew won't even be able to set foot on the line.
Doing something that's never been done before takes time.
It's not easy sharing a man with a fire.
I want y'all to breathe in this beautiful vista. Because once you're hot shots, you're never gonna be able to look out into the wild. See that pure beauty again.
So joining us, we have Brendan McDonough. He's the sole survivor from a group of 20 hotshots who were fighting that historic wildfire on that fateful day in 2013. And he's joined by Pat McCarty, a former Granite Mountain hotshot. Welcome to you both.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, David and Selena. Appreciate it.
So this movie's documenting both of your experiences here.
Yes, this film does a phenomenal job at depicting what it's like to be on a hotshot crew and also individually who our brothers were and just kind of dives into their personality.
Can you tell us quickly what a hotshot group is for those who don't know what that is?
Yeah, so a hotshot group is roughly a group of 20 men and women that fight forest fires. And they are some of the most highly trained firefighters on the fires that they're going to. And they travel throughout the whole entire United States to do this.
So, from my recollection, I remember this fire. It happened in 2013. I think it was the summer, and it was horrific. It made national news, and the story of how you survived was almost phenomenal, but you lost 19 or 20 of your brothers. And then about 2 years later, you signed a book deal, and now you have a movie coming out. How does it feel to have something that was probably the most catastrophic, horrific event of your life turn into something that could be almost rewarding in a way?
I think it's, it was a very cathartic process to be able to write the book into, the book dives into some of my, my grief and trauma, as you mentioned, but it's also very honoring to be able to be a part of this and to watch this film come to life and to just see what is, our brother stories come back into the forefront of people's minds, and just first responders in general is truly amazing. So it's just a huge honor to be a part of.
So as a former hotshot, Pat, what's it like to watch the fires in California right now?
I'd say anyone that's ever been in the fire service feels a great responsibility to do something. Everybody wants to do anything they can to help. And, not just first responders. There's a lot of people that are asking, hey, how can I get connected? How can I help out? Who can I reach out to? And there's a lot of good charities out there that can do that. And one of the great things about this film is they've set up the Granite Mountain Fund. So if somebody feels like, they want to get involved and help out, they can go to the Granite Mountain Fund, and that money actually gets distributed through good local charities to help out with this wildfire stuff.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we know what you have going on with, the book deal and now the movie coming out. But after this horrific event happened, were you still able to work at that same fire station, or did you?
No, sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no, go ahead.
The crew didn't continue on.
Okay.
It was just such a huge impact. Just so many.
19 out of 20 pairs, so you are the sole survivor, correct?
Yes, and so, with other former crew members as well, it just was fitting to not bring it back. And, Pat still works for Prescott Fire Department. I've, kind of, I guess, just retired from it and just really enjoyed being a dad. And I work with a few different nonprofits that give back and just trying to be a part of the community.
Absolutely. And I know you were about 21 when it happened.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're still really, really young. How would you say this really changed your perspective of life and maybe what it is that our first responders do when it comes to danger?
I think, to answer the second part of the question, when it comes to danger and first responders, they're the men and women that are running into danger. That's just such a huge part of that self-sacrifice that they feel, and that's their duty, and they have the integrity to, hopefully continue to do the right thing for other people. And the perspective that I've gained on this is just a greater outlook on life, and how precious it really is, and what our time is here today, and just enjoying it with the people that we love, and just really taking a moment. It's given me great insight to take a moment to understand other people and their feelings. I've come to understand mine very deeply and intimately, and so when I see someone, I think a little bit differently, and I just want to kind of just be there and just kind of that selfless service, in a different way. And so this film shows such a great insight into that brotherhood and camaraderie and that selfless service to others that all first responders have, and many civilians. We see, heroism constantly, day after day in many situations. So it's something that we're really proud of.
Absolutely.
Did you feel like you had an instant connection with him because you're a former hotshot?
Well, we knew each other. Our paths kind of crossed when I was leaving the hotshot crew. He was just starting. And then he worked with my brother. My brother was his squatty for 2 years.
Yeah, for 2 years.
So,
It's a small community where you guys are from.
Yeah, it is. And, I think that any hotshot has another connection with anyone that's ever been on a hotshot crew, or a firefighter, first responder, policeman. It's a bond that you just don't find anywhere else. And I think one thing that you're really going to enjoy when you see this film is learning about that brotherhood. And it's something that shines through in this film like you probably, won't see again.
What is it that you want people to walk away from the film seeing or feeling?
I think, just a better understanding of who hotshots are, what they're willing to do. We hope that they can learn about our brothers as well. And, ultimately, too, just to learn something about yourself, and just to kind of inspire and to just bring back the love and compassion that our brothers had in that community.
Wow.
So before we leave, you tell us a little bit about the movie.
The movie does...
Who does it star? It opens this Friday, evidently.
Yeah, it opens this Friday. Josh Brolin, Miles Teller, Jennifer Connelly, Jeff Bridges, Taylor Kitsch, James Badgedale, Alex Russell, Andy McDowell. There's probably a handful I'm missing, but
It's a great cast.
Yeah,
Wow,
phenomenal cast. We have an amazing director that we work with, Joseph Kaczynski, that really just took our word to heart, and it shines through this film and how authentic it is. And so just really excited for people to see it. It's such a true testament to how they lived, and there's some phenomenal, funny moments in there that I can't wait to share with people.
Wow.
Well, Brendan and Pat, we really appreciate you coming on the show to share your story.
Thanks for having us, guys.
We look
Thank
forward
you
to the movie.
Yep.
Enjoy it.
Best of luck to the both of you guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Absolutely. Coming up next, we have Noah Kerner. He's the CEO of Acorns, an app I'm sure many of you have heard of. You've heard of it,
Absolutely.
Selena.
Absolutely.
I think I have it on my phone.
I know I
It
do.
automatically invests spare change from debit and credit card purchases and offers many other ways to save you money. So welcome to the show, Noah.
Thank you.
No, can I just say you changed my life? So,
Here we go.
Acorns. I'm so happy to have you, CEO of Acorns, and your story, your background story is phenomenal because you started off as a DJ for Jennifer Lopez, and now you invented this app just a few years ago, and it changed my life because I've been using it for a few months, and never before did I ever think that I could say that I have a diverse portfolio of ETFs. Like the stock market to like a millennial like myself was always very intimidating, and now I have Acorns, and every time that I make a purchase, I'm mindlessly also saving and investing into the stock market, and it's literally that easy. So like when and how did you come up with this concept?
So we launched about 3 years ago. And the idea, our fundamental philosophy is anyone can grow wealth, right? Which I think is important for our culture and society, particularly now, to believe that and to feel that in yourself that you can do it. And when you think about a lot of people who've gone on to become wealthy, they sort of started from the bottom. Howard Schultz, George Clooney, all kinds of people like that. So we really believe in that. And then we went about making it super easy to get started and to sign up and become an investor. and also grow your knowledge, which is really important to us, financial education. So.
It's so true. Like, I'm always checking my app. I want to see like how my money's doing, how it's growing.
Yeah.
And it's like 6 months ago, I wasn't as, I guess, money conscious or as financially educated or literate, but it really makes it that easy.
It does. I mean, I had the app. I had a friend text me and say, "Oh, you got to try this app," and it was right when it came out.
Yeah.
So now there's a bit more fintech that we see on the phones, but you guys were trailblazers in this space.
Yeah, we started early. I mean, and we also recommend to people to start early, so it kind of works that way. But we came out. We helped people set aside spare change. And automatically round up their purchases to the nearest dollar and invest that into the market. We also recently, over the last year, rolled out a program called Found Money, which we're really excited about.
Yep.
So we partnered with almost 150 brands, from Apple to Nike to Airbnb to Lyft. And right now, as an example, if you use the card that you have linked to Acorns to become an Airbnb host, Airbnb invests $200 into your Acorns account as a reward.
Wow.
So it's another way to kind of regularly invest small amounts of money and capture money from different places.
Absolutely. And I mean, I remember because I was shopping at Walmart and I found money. Like, I don't know the correct terminology for it, but that it literally popped up and was like, oh, I found money in some way. So it's excellent that way. And I guess I wanted some insider advice because with the Acorns app, it allows you to invest and save as you spend, but you can also make reoccurring investments.
Right.
Based on your knowledge, which is the best way to really grow your money or to see substantial growth? Should I be doing reoccurring investments every single month, or should I try to amplify and multiply the spare change?
Getting personal financial advice.
Yeah, no,
it's a good idea.
I mean, you have the CEO of Acorns here. Like, I had to ask.
I mean, we recommend that people get started with spare change.
Okay.
It adds up to about $30 to $35 a month, and you don't really feel it, which is really nice, right?
I mean, that's nothing.
Right. I mean, for some people, it's not nothing, right? So it's actually, it ends up being an important contribution. $30 to $35 a month can add up to $400 a year, which can be meaningful. But for people who can, we recommend that you move on to $5 a day or $5 a week and contribute to that. So you get up to $70 to $80 a month. Then you use Found Money. You add another $20 to $30 a month, and it really adds up over time. So you can see, over the year, you've added $1,000 to $1,500 into your Acorns account. And one of the great things about the product is it's kind of working for you in the background. So we find with our customers, when you come back to Acorns, let's say you come back in 3 days or 5 days or 6 days or 10 days, you see that it's started to add up, which is a really powerful feeling. It's a powerful catalyst for someone just to move forward and to feel really encouraged to keep engaging in that behavior.
So we've heard a lot about Acorns. Let's hear about Noah. How did you get here? How did you develop your own app? How are you running the company? What advice do you have? We want to hear all about you because this whole show is about entrepreneurship.
Got it.
You are the entrepreneur, so tell us about yourself.
So I started right out of college with my first company. Wrote a business plan senior year in college. Went out and raised money. It was the first one-stop shop for hip-hop on the web, actually. And then went on to start a music agency and then a creative agency that focused on young adults, which is a similar audience to Acorns. I'm a subscriber in the belief that you should do what you love, and that when you do, it shines through in everything you do. I'm really passionate about helping people. So, in this case, helping people set aside small amounts of money and invest for the future. It's a huge challenge in our society today. And then there's other areas like health and education that I'm passionate about. But I think if you focus on the things that mean a lot to you as a person, that ends up leading to success and a happier life. So.
Well, it seems like you have many passions because while you were a teenager DJing for Jennifer Lopez and other celebrity artists, and then you just talked about, starting a one-stop shop for hip-hop. So it seems like music, hip-hop, tech, are these all your passions? And if so, how do you really balance them out like that? And make money from all of them. I think that's the key thing right there.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been passionate about music. That's been a big part of my life. I'm actually on the board of VH1 Save the Music, which is a nice intersection between music and education also. But I think you just go for the things that mean something to you, and you pursue those things, and you pursue them with a lot of conviction, and you end up, hopefully in a good place.
So Noah, we're almost done, but I want you to do two things. I want you to give simple advice, and I want you to give me the 20-second pitch for your app, an elevator pitch.
Perfect. As we say at WeWork, actually, I was involved in WeWork, do what you love. That's really important advice. And then the simple pitch for Acorns is we make it really easy to save, invest, and grow your knowledge. You should start as early as possible. You should invest regularly, even if that's small amounts, and you should stick with it over time because you'll see the benefits.
Absolutely, and that's the best way to
That's a good
accumulate
pitch.
wealth.
That's a good pitch.
Excellent. It's an excellent pitch. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Look,
for
I'm
having
like
me.
your
I
biggest
appreciate it.
ambassador
Oh,
here,
thank you.
okay? I've been
Thank you.
telling everyone they need to hop on the Acorns train.
Thank you so much.
Seriously.
Thank you.
That's how much I love it. Thank you.
care,
Thank you so much, Noah. Our next guest, Kunal Sood, is the founder of NOVUS and X Fellows. The NOVUS Summit honors 17 innovators at the United Nations. The summit serves as an intergenerational platform to inspire generations to unite in action. Welcome, Kunal.
Thank you.
Welcome.
For having me.
So, tell us about NOVUS.
All right. Well, Novus has actually started. Do you want the roots of Novus? The roots of Novus was actually started to reimagine the American dream and a way to give back to this incredible country for what it did for me as an immigrant and someone from India who came in with, well, very little hope around how am I going to get to the next level of my education. And I think what America does is give everyone a fair opportunity to work their way to a place where they feel or can even be extraordinary.
That's nice to hear positivity about our country.
No, it is.
Very positive perspective there. We appreciate it.
And then, you know, I had a existing relationship with the United Nations because I'm a curator by training, and what that means is, you know, TED.com. TED,
Yeah, of course, the talks. Yeah.
So I used to do TEDx at the United Nations with a friend of mine, and that's how I started curating stuff at the UN. And then they got interested in what I was doing with Novus, but they told me that since it's a, you know, it's a platform for the world, reimagining the American dream might not be enough. So we shifted to transform the world using the global goals, which are very important for us. And I particularly tried to encompass a way in which we could really be fair to have all voices heard, from gender equality to eradicating poverty to focusing on innovation so that we can actually solve the problems, to partnerships. And yeah, we did it all, and it was pretty amazing.
So you get people to talk to each other. Isn't that the beginning of everything?
Yeah,
It's giving people a platform to communicate with each other.
We do, and we also try to inspire bold action through the ideas that we spread on stage. So very much along the lines of taking an idea and pursuing it in action. So a lot of our speakers embodied their truth. So we had people like Peter Diamandis, who's actually the author of Bold himself, a book which talks about the future of humanity and how we can live into abundance. We had Anusha Ansari, who's the first female space explorer and astronaut. And we had a few astronauts, actually, a little galaxy of astronauts I brought to the UN. And so, you know, these people haven't just spread ideas, but they've actually lived their truth. And many of them are serial entrepreneurs, incredible people. So it's really a blessing to be able to do that.
Absolutely. Now, Kunal, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you're really big into giving back. And I actually heard you say something really catchy. You said, instead of just being a go-getter, let's become go-givers. Talk about that mantra.
So I've always prided my life on giving. Sometimes it can be a really big strength, which can also become a curse, because there's something I consider healthy giving, but I believe I err on the side of generosity of spirit, because we really need it right now. We've become very transactional in our world in many ways.
Yeah, what can you do for me and vice versa?
Absolutely.
Exactly. And I don't think that's a bad idea. You should always have a transaction, but it should be more of a reciprocity. So there should be a fair and healthy exchange around how you give.
It sounds like a healthy relationship in general.
Exactly.
Seriously.
It's an amazing book, actually, that inspired me, and a dear friend of mine who mentored me, his name is Adam Grant. He wrote a book called Give and Take, which it frames you to show you if you're a matcher, giver, or a taker. And the flip side is...
God, I hope I'm not a taker.
Do the test and you find out.
Okay.
I'm afraid of the results as well.
The flip side is that I'll ask you a question. Who do you think gets to the top and the bottom? Givers, takers, or matchers? Who gets to
Maybe a combination of all three.
Matchers?
That's actually a good question and answer. I think I'm going to ask Adam to look into that. But actually, it's givers. It's a trick question.
Really?
We were both wrong.
No one got this right.
Top as well as at the bottom. So it's about really being intelligent with how you give so that you can reach your goals.
You know what? And there's another concept about giving that I think is really, really interesting. You know, we have people who volunteer, you know, across the world to help people in devastation, like Puerto Rico, or they just use volunteerism as they see that as their purpose, and they feel very fulfilled.
Yes.
Do you think that we should be rewarding people who volunteer monetarily? Like, should we be paying people for volunteerism?
I believe there needs to be a massive shift in our ability to mobilize capital to those that are willing to risk their lives for things like Puerto Rico, which are very important for the future of humanity, period. And in order to like create a world that's sustainable around these goals that we want to achieve, I do believe that we have to now start to, in the sharing economy, bring a way in which we can bring more money into the system of aid and make it not about aid, but actually entrepreneurship. I personally believe innovation and entrepreneurship can solve that problem. Crowdsourcing funds, crowdsourcing resources, really sharing values in action, values in purpose. You know, being purposeful and driven by innovation is an important step towards that goal.
So
Absolutely.
where are you going with Novus and with the X Fellows and with the United Nations and all this stuff you're involved in? What's the next step?
So the next step is we're going to do Novus again, and you're all invited.
Oh,
as our
excellent.
guest. And of course, X Fellows is my dream of the real world version of the X-Men. So it is the idea that we take our disability and turn it into our signature strengths, and we see it so that when we find those signature strengths, our disability becomes irrelevant and our signature strengths lead in the field. So that's the X Fellows, and it's a community where we always have each other's backs. It's like a bunch of outliers and, you know, original thinkers and doers and dreamers that come together to solve for humanity's global grand challenges.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to have to work together if we're going to solve any of these global challenges.
I think
across cultures, across languages, across religions, across
the universe.
Look, I'm on board.
I mean,
I'm on board.
We're going outside, you know, into space now, so it's pretty exciting. In the next 20 years, we're going to be in Mars, hopefully.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Almost scary to think about that, but hey, yeah, that is where the future is.
Elon Musk comes up again.
Absolutely. The future
Mars.
is Mars and Uber.
Mars
Absolutely.
and Uber.
Yeah.
Uber to Mars. Kunal, thank you so much for joining us. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Absolutely. So speaking of entrepreneurship and people like Elon Musk, we have Shawn Nelson next. He's a CEO and founder of LoveSac. So you know what that is?
Absolutely.
So LoveSac is a foam-filled nylon sack that was created by Shawn. He won Richard Branson's Rebel Billionaire in 2004, and he continues to be passionate about entrepreneurship and design. Welcome to Bold Business, Shawn.
Thanks for having
Welcome,
me.
Shawn.
Yeah, great to
So you have this phenomenal story about LoveSac. Like, you know, I started watching it, and I was like, you know, I'm just gonna watch a few minutes. I got sucked into the story of how LoveSac started, and like, we don't have 20 minutes to explain it, but if you can just give us, I guess, the succinct 60-second version of how you started this global company, almost happenstancely. Like, it seemed like it was really coincidental how you became this entrepreneur, this millionaire, this international figure.
Yeah, so I thought it would be funny to make a really big beanbag.
Seriously, as a teenager.
I didn't want to call it a beanbag because I didn't see beanbag anywhere on the
so
website.
it's not a beanbag. Turned out it wasn't, right? And that's, you know, I got off the couch.
How old were you, by the way, at this time?
18 years old, right? Drove down to the fabric store to buy some fabric to cut up to sew into like a big bean, you know, because I thought how funny would it be to have one like the size of the floor between me and the TV, like the whole thing, right? And so cut it out, sewed it up, looked around for stuff to put in it. Beanbag beads were crunchy and like I couldn't get enough of them. And so I started cutting up my parents' camping mattresses, and before long we had LoveSac, and they're giant. You can sit like 3, 4, 5 people on them. We suck all the air out of them for shipping, so now they're UPSable and internetable. And it turned out to be a really funny, funky business that's now morphed into a whole home furnishings company.
Absolutely.
So tell us about being on Rebel Billionaire. How was that? So if people don't know that was Richard Branson's show back in 2004. A lot of people were just young folks back then.
Yeah, so it was Richard Branson's answer to The Apprentice. You know, it was a show that we traveled around the world, 16 contestants vying to be, you know, Richard Branson's protege, and I won.
You won $1 million off of that.
$1 million investment from Branson.
Was that your first million, by the way, or were you already bigging in the big bucks?
No, so I'll give you the story behind the story. So at the time he gave me this check for $1 million on Necker Island, I probably
Which is this private island that just got blown away by Hurricane Maria.
Yes, it's sad.
Or Irma, one of them. I can't remember which one.
So many hurricanes.
Yeah.
I know, right? And so I'm standing there holding a check, and for $1 million, and I probably have $2 million in debt, having built this business, and it takes a lot of money to make money, right? And so it's taken a long time to build the business, get it past the startup phase. We've since invented this really cool couch that can be with you the rest of your life, and that's actually taken over our business and is most of our sales now, and LoveSac's just slowly grown and become something that we're pretty proud of.
So you needed that $1 million from Richard Branson in order just to keep your business going.
That's right. And so it's not always as glossy on the on the inside as it appears on the outside.
No, absolutely. And that was in 2004. So you've had your ups and downs, but in 2006, your company actually filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. How and when did you recover from bankruptcy?
Yeah, so I've been through it all, and it's not easy to build a business, and luckily, we were able to. That's one of the great things about I was in an Uber this morning, actually a Lyft. I'm a Lyft guy, and I'm talking to my driver, and he was from the Dominican Republic, and I was just chatting with him about his business, and he was telling me how great it is to be in America because you can make a mistake and recover. And that's the greatest part about business in America, right? You're able to face challenges. The country that we live in allows entrepreneurship in a way that no other country does. And LoveSac survived through that and has grown since then and become something pretty.
So what lessons have you learned from those mistakes? Because that's a pretty big fall.
Exactly my question. You're reading
We're
my
on the
thoughts.
same page. We're on the same page here.
I think that how can I summarize that in a minute? But I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned over the years is to be humble. I think that as crazy as that sounds, it's tricky as an entrepreneur because you have to be bold and you have to be audacious, but at the same time you have to be teachable and be able to have great mentors and learn from them. And it's taken me a long time to get there.
That's so funny that you say that. We had a scientist on not too long ago who said, I became an entrepreneur and suddenly my own story changed from, we're not sure about these results, there's scientific uncertainty, to I know I can sell this, I know I can do this business. So how are you humble and an entrepreneur? Those don't seem to go together.
Yeah, well, for a long time I wasn't. I was just an entrepreneur. and I think that you have to be able to be both and in situations, right? So you
got to sell yourself, but you got to be teachable.
You have to sell yourself, but that's a great way. That's a great summary. You got to sell yourself, but be teachable, and attract great mentors. Network, and listen to people that have been there and done it.
And I think there's a difference between being confident and being cocky. Like I think that you can definitely be humble, but be very still self-assured in your ability. Like put it like this: to keep humble. Like I actually listen to Kendrick Lamar's "Be Humble" song. So when you said that, I was like, I literally I try to internalize that, and I'm like, stay humble because you never know what challenge can really knock you off. And it takes humility, and it takes someone being able to say, you know what, I need help in order to get to that next level at times. And it seems like you learned that lesson, maybe even the hard way, but now it's actually helped you and prepared you for the success you have now.
Yeah, absolutely. LoveSac's a better business for everything that we've been through, and it's really coming up. I think that you're going to see big things from this little company. We're going to disrupt, what you see Casper, for instance, doing to mattresses, we're going to do to couches. And we're going to disrupt the whole couch industry. And everyone on the planet has a couch. And so very proud of what we're building, but it has been a crazy ride.
Absolutely.
You're not the first couch person on the show. We've had people from Burrow on the show. We have so many entrepreneurs. This is really a show about entrepreneurship. So before I let you go, we always ask everyone the same question. What's your advice in a few words to budding entrepreneurs?
My advice is to just get started. I meet entrepreneurs every day who have this idea and I don't know how to just do something. I cut out fabric, sewed it up, and started putting stuff in it.
So Shawn, about 85-90% of people say exactly that. So
Awesome.
it's amazing how people just respond the same way.
Yeah, that's,
It must be something to it. And I would just advise everyone, make sure you watch Shawn Nelson's story about LoveSac. It is inspirational because it shows that you can have something that's like far-fetched or a really bizarre idea, but if you put a little passion and some work into it, it can actually make you a lot of money. And that's what Shawn Nelson has proven. So thank you so much for being on our show.
thanks for
Thank
having
you,
me.
Shawn.
Thanks a lot.
So our next guests, as it turns out, are also entrepreneurs.
Coincidence?
And
No.
coincidence, no. And founded Attractive Nuisance Apparel, a company that makes fun and active leisure wear for women. So paying attention, Selena?
I am.
Yeah. Debbie Morgenstein and her business partner, Travis Romley, are here joining us. Welcome to you both.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We talk about entrepreneurship on the show, so it's not easy, is it?
It's not.
No, it's not.
So how did you get this idea? Where did this line of clothing, did this exist in your head first, Debbie?
This existed in his head first.
Really?
And I came in afterwards.
Yeah.
So Travis, tell us more about this brand that existed in your head that's now a reality.
Debbie kind of, I didn't want to do it because I tried other things before. And I told her the idea, and she kind of pushed for it. She thought it was a pretty clever idea. A few years ago, I believe it was after Hurricane Sandy, I was down in South Jersey with a friend of mine who's a very successful business person. He has many businesses, and we're sitting outside of a place having breakfast in the morning, and outside there was a couple houses that were being renovated, and they had police tape wrapped around them, and they weren't really keeping anybody from going in there. So in the legal world, it's called an attractive nuisance because it entices children to go in, and then the landowner is responsible for whatever happens with, a child getting hurt. So as he said that, I've always never had the best luck in relationships. As he said that, two attractive women were walking by in, leggings. It's something that really contoured the body. I said, look at that. There's two attractive nuisances walking by. So it kind of went into a clothing for women because I thought of it, but in the real world, everyone's someone's own attractive nuisance. So a guy can be one for a woman because you fall in love with someone or you attracted to the beauty of the opposite sex. So, and when you get into it, you realize your personalities clash, but you still hold on for something. So it becomes toxic to you and your mind. So it kind of started out as a joke, but now it's it molded into something for women to wear to feel good about themselves, to inspire confidence, and to be that attractive, not always be a nuisance, but be attractive and attract the opposite sex.
And that's how the logo came about as well.
Yeah, it started, the beauty of nature is that you have your dart frogs, all your beautiful animals, and it helps attract other species. But when you get, like, say if you go pick up a dart frog, they have poison on their skin, and it'll, pretty much become toxic in your body. Or there's animals that you are intrigued by, but you should stay away from. So it was really just to be an inspiration to print all those on the shirts or the clothing, but then it turned into a shadow dart frog intertwined with lace, as far as show that every species has their beauty. And
With the lace butterfly.
Yeah, so what is it about this apparel line that makes it so, I guess, like attractive or appealing to your customers or clientele? Is it the fabric? Is it the way that it makes women feel? What is it?
We feel, especially with the leggings, the fabric, and those are actually our design, the leggings. So Travis is very detailed with those. With
You know what a good legging needs to look like and feel like, huh?
I do wear them when I work out in the wintertime, but male leggings. But I also talk to, as her being a female, like to ask what she would like to see as a woman or feel. It's not inspiring you to go out and move, but if you want to go out and move. If you want to lay around in them, lay around them. And they're all designed to feel comfortable. Like they're all flat seamed sewn. They're all cover stitched. There's gussets in the solid colors, so there's not that seam. Even I see it in my normal job. If I wear a shirt that has a seam in it, it's not flat, it bothers me over time. I can feel it. So
we're very proud of our leggings, and the leggings come with a little added value and extra surprise,
like an inspiration. When you put them on, you'll see an inspiration every day within the legging inside the waistband to tell you to make you feel
Really?
good.
Yeah, they
Kind of like Lucky Brand when you unzip the Lucky
Similar-
jeans. It says
similar.
Lucky you, but it's inspirational.
Correct.
Yeah.
there's an inspirational saying on the waistband, so it's
But
women
they all
love that.
change,
They all
so-
change. They're all different.
You may order the same pair of leggings the same time or a year later, but the saying inside won't be the same as your first one.
We call it active leisure wear. We don't call it fitness. We haven't coined that term in our line because not every woman is is fitness minded.
I'm from Florida. Active leisure wear is what we wear every day.
Exactly.
But it's true. Like I can appreciate a good pair of leggings, but I can also confess I need to get back into fitness. But you know what? Yeah, if I was shopping for something, I probably would be turned off by something that said active leisure wear or fitness because
right.
I wouldn't necessarily, because I'm like, oh, I need to get back in the gym. I almost feel guilty about it. But like something that is leisure, something that makes me feel comfortable and maybe gives me some enhancement in some areas. Yes, it's something I can appreciate.
And we have tops, flowy tops. They're not all tight, and so it's something for everyone. We have cute backpacks that range from anyone from preteen can carry those through any age.
And it's all made. The leggings are all sewn in Pennsylvania.
Made in America. Wow.
Oh, we appreciate that as well. Wow.
Well, thank you for joining us, Divvy and Travis.
Thank you. And good luck and best of luck to your line.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So next up, we have our Bookstr segment. Bookstr is a website for book lovers and much more. They're one of our partners here on Bold TV. This week's featured author is Kevin Campbell, author of Losing Our Way in Healthcare, The Impact of Reform. Oh, boy.
Oh, boys.
He's also a cardiologist and the CEO of PaceMate, a digital healthcare company. He's joined by our number one friend here at Bold, Sarah Hill, the CEO of Bookstr. Hey, Sarah.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, Kevin. Also a friend of Bold. Two very familiar faces here.
Thanks for having me. Good to be back.
So tell us a little bit about your book before we get into your entrepreneurial journey.
Absolutely.
As well.
So, healthcare reform obviously is a big topic here in the United States.
Is it?
And, I practice medicine. I'm a Duke-trained surgeon. I practiced medicine for 17 years, and I found that I can no longer care for my patients the way that I see fit. Healthcare reform has limited doctors' abilities to connect with patients. And I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, the current system isn't working and nothing that's been put forward by anyone is even viable. So I'm very frustrated. But, I go by the tagline, put patients first. So hashtag put patient first is all about making the patient the center of the relationship. And that's what we've got to get back to.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Campbell, it seems like you have obviously a very strong opinion about where healthcare, the direction that it's going right now. What do you see are the viable solutions? What would make it easier for you to care for your patients?
First of all, get the government out of my exam room. Get the government regulations.
Is the government in it now?
They are absolutely in it now. Absolutely. I have to tick things off on an electronic medical record like your computer before I can actually get my patient through the process. I need to see pharmaceutical regulations so my patients can afford their medications. I need the ability for Medicare to negotiate drug prices. I need the ability for insurance companies to compete across state lines for business. We need to serve patients. And right now, the politicians are serving the politicians, and the patients have been left out of the equation.
So what's step one to bring patients back into the equation, do you think?
I think we need to have a national council on healthcare reform. I think we need to have patients and doctors at the table, not just the Democrats and the Republicans looking for soundbite opportunities.
You know what I think? I think we need to get rid of this money in the democratic system right now, because a lot of them, they're being lobbied by big pharmaceutical companies, and they're acting in their behalf. They're not acting on behalf of the patients.
Hospitals, don't forget.
Right. So take money out of politics.
Absolutely. Right now, one of the biggest, most powerful lobbies outside of the trial lawyer lobby is the healthcare lobby. The American Medical Association says they speak for doctors. They speak for their own pocketbooks. 13% of practicing physicians actually belong to the AMA. So no, you're exactly right. You've got to get money out of this system. And until you do, doctors and patients are not going to be allowed to do what they do best.
Absolutely.
So what about your book that is focused on women and cardiovascular disease?
So my first book was on women and heart disease, and what we talk about in that book is how women are undertreated and underserved. Do you know that more women than men die every single year of heart disease? It's thought of as a disease of women, and I think it comes from multiple factors. Women don't realize it's their greatest health risk. They worry about breast or uterine cancer. First of all, physicians think of heart disease is a disease of men, and we know it's women. So my book is all about empowering women to take control of their own heart health.
Absolutely. And just to connect the dots there, like me as a woman, I wasn't receiving regular checkups until the Affordable Care Act came into play. So, and now that I have health care because from my employer, I know how important it is for people to have access to health care, because if you're not going to the doctor regularly, you're not staying on top of your health. And then sometimes what happens is you may have symptoms of something and it becomes chronic, it becomes a crisis, and then things are too late. So I think preventative care is the best thing, that is something that we need to definitely be pushing on and educating more patients about.
I could not have said that better myself. The problem with the U.S. healthcare system, we focus on treatment of disease. We need to focus on prevention. I want to put myself out of business. I don't want to go to the operating room ever again because I want to treat disease before it happens.
You want to put yourself out of business?
Absolutely.
I've never heard anyone say, I don't want to make any more money.
Well,
Basically.
you're also no longer, we were talking a little bit in the green room, you're leaving the medical field.
That's exactly right. You know, I've made a big impact in the operating room for 17 years, but now through the use of big data to solve big medical problems, through my company PaceMate, we're able to use data generated by cardiac devices like pacemakers and defibrillators that we implant into chests and for patients. They generate tons and tons of data every day. I can download that data. My company can process that data, get that information to your doctor within 15 to 30 minutes, and we can act on whatever we see from that device and prevent you from having to go to the emergency room. We know that we can decrease hospitalizations, actually reduce risk of death by 50% if we monitor your device remotely. And our company provides that solution.
So something you both have in common is that you're both entrepreneurs in two very different spaces, right? But you have that in common. What do you think the challenges of entrepreneurship are that are universal? Because you're in media and books and whatnot, and you're doing big data as it relates to healthcare. Two very different things, but your entrepreneurial journeys are probably very similar, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I think first and foremost, data doesn't lie. That's for me, I would think, a universal thing. Data can really tell you the storytelling of your consumer, whether it's media or actual hardware product. And then I would say you can't give up. There's a lot of no's. I don't know. You know more than I do.
Are you on board with this, Kevin?
I am. I would say, actually, I want to make and brand a line of T-shirts and hats that say #StartupLife.
Yeah.
It is the most challenging thing outside of my first day in the operating room by myself.
Yeah, I'll buy the shirts for sure. I'll give them to all my friends.
You never give up. You continue to focus on what's important to me. And what's important to me is making my patients better and safer and improving healthcare for the United States, you know, the average citizen. And if you focus on that, all the no's and all the rejections and all the tough times, you can get through them, because that one big win is all you need to make it.
You know, Dr. Campbell, if you weren't into entrepreneurship, I would say you need to run for office. You might even have my vote.
That's just what we need, are more politicians. He just if you have ideas and you're coming from the medical field and entrepreneurship, I think the next venture in your life may be politics. You got a crystal ball here?
I'm just saying, it looks like it'd be a good fit.
I appreciate that. I have been on Capitol Hill, and I've spoken with many, many folks on both sides of the aisle about healthcare reform and about big data. And what I'm amazed is they're completely blown away. It's like they've never heard it before, because I think that they are separated from the real people on the street and what's happening in healthcare.
And that charming Southern accent will help you with that platform as well.
We try.
Dr. Campbell 2020.
Thank you.
You got my vote.
Sarah and Dr. Campbell, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you all for having us.
Absolutely. Last but certainly not least, we welcome Alana Sisnett. She's the chapter director of Ladies America New York City. Ladies America is a national network of professional women connecting to advance personally and professionally. Hey, Alana.
Hi.
We have a joke because one of our lead producers' name is Alana, and I believe you're the second or third Alana to appear on the show. So we attract Alanas.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for having us on today. Thank you.
Absolutely. So tell us more about your work.
So Ladies America is a young professionals group that also has experienced professionals. It's geared towards women, and our motto is women helping women. So what that means is not only professionally, but personally, we want to advance our careers, advance our personal lives, our family lives, anything that you could get from another woman. We have networking happy hours where we can meet new people and to expand our network and to advance our careers. We also have workshops that could also help with personal lives and how to balance work life in any type of atmosphere.
Wow, wow. So that sounds amazing. When and how did you even come up with this idea to help other professional women like yourself in the area?
Well, I didn't come up with the group. Lindsay Mask is the founder of Ladies America. It started in 2006 as just kind of a dinner club. So ladies would meet in DC after work and just talk about work and how to move forward. Then it expanded to New York, it expanded to Chicago, Northern Virginia, and other areas in the United States, and it's continuing to grow. So why I joined Ladies America was because I wanted to meet more women that were in the workforce. So I'm a lawyer, and I meet a lot of lawyers every single day, but I wanted to meet people that weren't lawyers, other women.
Go figure. You don't want to meet people. If you ever been to a legal event, you know why. But anyway, go ahead.
I wanted to meet more women that were in different professions, different industries, and kind of get what they do and kind of incorporate it into my life. And that's one of the reasons why I joined Ladies America.
So how is the dynamic different when you're with a group of all professional ladies as opposed to a mixed gender crowd?
Well, I think that with women, we kind of listen more and we try to focus on what we want and what we need. And so let's say that someone is looking for a new job. They just lost their job. We have a huge network where you could just send out your resume. Hey, everyone, like, this is what I'm looking for. Does anybody know anything? And I think that in this women's group, in Ladies America, we push harder for our members in advancing their careers, and we focus on them and we care about them. And I think that is something that you can't find everywhere else.
Why do you think it's so important for women to connect in this way? I mean, like, I'm pretty sure, well, I don't know. I don't know if you connect with other women on your job or maybe in your personal life, but why is it so important for professional women, you think, to connect in this way?
I think it's important for professional women to connect because it kind of sometimes you're in a male-dominated industry and you need that support from other professional women who have been through that, who have been through challenges getting further in their career. So when you have other women who say that, yes, I have similar experiences and this is how I push through it, it kind of makes you feel like you have support and somebody that you can count on. And I think that's very important, especially with women, because sometimes we don't feel as though we're supported. And sometimes we don't have other female colleagues to help us through. And that's where Ladies America could come through.
Absolutely. And what would you say has been the biggest reward or something that has really helped you that you either learned from the group or you've experienced while in the group?
So recently we had a yoga event where we kind of promoted a yoga teacher who had just become a yoga teacher, so she's getting experience in teaching. And then we also connected new members and old members in this yoga session, so where everybody is relaxed, everybody is coming together, and now people are meeting new people. And when they meet new people, they expand their networks. And it's in a comfortable environment versus, oh, let me hand you my business card and my resume. Let me do this and let me do that. No, it can just be an organic conversation that can happen afterwards where you now met some new women and expanded your network in an easy environment.
So what is your advice for networking in general? Because this is a question I get a lot. A lot of young people come up to me and are like, David, I don't really know how to network. How do you network? So in and outside of your group.
I think that the best way to network, you have to overcome your fear of approaching somebody and just go up to them and say, hi, my name is Alana Sisnett. Nice to meet you.
So that's the hardest part, is the intro.
I think that is the hardest part.
After that, it happens organically?
I believe so. Like after you introduce yourself, it becomes easier to start talking about what you do or what your interests are and to get to know the other person. And that's also important. Try to get to know the other person versus just talking about yourself so that you gain like a true relationship with this person.
And you know, if you want to work on your networking skills and you happen to be a woman, a professional woman in one of these metropolitan cities that your group is at, I think that you could probably try to connect with the group on Facebook or go to one of your events, because what I find is the easiest way to network is at a networking event. Everyone is there to talk to people and to meet people. So if you want to meet some people and you happen to be a woman, try Ladies America, right?
Yes, I agree. We are on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. You can check us out on ladiesamerica.org, and you can become a member today.
Alana,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having
And the
us.
best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as always, we'd like to thank you for watching Bold Business. A special shout out to my co-anchor Selena from Black Enterprise and to all our partners, including Jen of KD, Bold TV, and Bookstr, and to our entire staff to making the show a reality every week. Don't miss another episode, same place, same time, next Tuesday, 9 a.m., Facebook Live and Periscope. See you then.
Bye.